you're new to this channel is all about movies. So if you're like me and you like watching movies more than playing golf, consider subscribing. Gretel and Hansel is a different take on the original story of Hansel and Gretel. Written and directed by Oz Perkins. Going into this movie, I did something I don't normally do. I didn't watch the trailer. I had only seen the poster for this movie, and I knew that there was a witch in this movie that looked like Willem Dafoe a lot. Going into this movie was a blank slate, and I'm glad I went in that way. The first like 2/3, 3/4 of the movie, I really loved actually. You know, actor and actress who played Gretel and Hansel were great. Like I was really into their relationship, their chemistry as brother and sister. You really feel for them. There's like a famine in there where they live, and so their parents like kick them out. You know, they go through a lot as kids. You know, it's a real struggle. You know, to be a kid. You think it's hard to be a kid in 2020, man. Being a kid in whatever year they were living in was way harder. I'll say that. There were two great little kid actors, actresses. They did a phenomenal job. I thought that the chick who played the witch, the whole movie I was pretty creeped out and unsettled by her. I really was. But she also had this somewhat charm, like motherliness to her in a way that you understand why, coming from what they've come from, Gretel and Hansel, from the family they grew up with to being in this house with this stranger lady in the woods, like you understand why they are drawn to her. One of the things I liked the most about this movie was the imagery. It was a creepy as heck movie. There was like an attempt at a jump scare at one point, and I felt like that didn't maybe work so well, but I felt like where this movie really excelled was in the imagery. Like there are several sequences or scenes where you see like witches off at a distance, like with a moonlight, you know, the moonlight behind them, and it just looked creepy as heck. It honestly was hard for me to fall asleep the night after I watched this, and I've been thinking about a lot of these, like the images from the movie since then. There's a lot of creepy imagery, and Oz Perkins, I think I'm saying his name right, did a great job at, you know, making this look like a storybook, almost sci-fi-ish, very creepy. I thought the movie looked great. So yeah, the subject matter and the creepiness factor, the imagery really worked. I felt like it fired on all cylinders there. Well, J-Mark, you said you liked 3/4 of it. What didn't you like about the other quarter of it? Well, I'm glad you asked, and I'm going to try and explain this without spoiling anything. Have you ever watched a movie where the character you're following the whole movie looks different at the end and there's like some emotional disconnect? It Chapter 2, Pennywise looks different at the end of it Chapter 2. Didn't help that he was a big CGI monster, but he didn't look quite like the character that you see throughout the rest of the movie. Gretel and Hansel is similar. And also the setting for the climax is a little bit different. It feels unlike the rest of the movie's setting, which is like the witch's house. And I felt like there was a little bit of a disconnect there because I thought that the witch's house was a great setting. Like it really was. And so the ending of the movie with one of the characters looking different and then it being a different setting, I felt like it felt a little disjointed from the rest of the movie. If the ending scene would have been more similar to the rest of the film, it would have had a better flow and it would have been more emotionally impactful. But that isn't even the biggest issue. One of the main characters made a decision at the end of the movie that was not consistent with their character. This movie loses a point or two for that. You'll know what I'm talking about. There's a big decision that's made at the end. And like I said, I just didn't feel like it flowed. I felt like Gretel and Hansel, for the most part, was great. You know, great characters, great setting, creepy as heck. I was unsettled the whole movie, cared about all the characters, and I just felt like they didn't land the plane very well. I'd say overall, this is like an okay horror movie. You could probably wait till it's out on DVD to watch it, but if you like horror movies, if you like independent horror, I definitely would recommend checking it out. Definitely think it's worth a watch. Where would I rate Gretel and Hansel on the sweet and sour scale? I'd say Gretel and Hansel is like a piece of Walmart cake. It's fine. You know, it's a piece of cake. It's fine. It works. Definitely not the best cake I've ever had in my whole life. So that's where I'd rate it. If you like this video, definitely check out my review for The Turning, another horror movie that just came out a few weeks ago. Would definitely love to talk with you about The Turning. So click on that next video. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.